30 notes per second. Each one must land within a timing window of less than 50 milliseconds, a fraction off, and the entire passage collapses. This is the razor-thin margin even the world's best pianists cannot escape. And what they struggle with isn't the music itself, it's their own hands, their own mind. Because what you hear as flawless is actually something far more fragile. Every note sounds effortless, but beneath the surface, the pianist is locked in a silent duel with their own body. Each finger strike is a calculated gamble. The hands are not gliding, they are making hundreds of hidden corrections moment by moment. Slight twitches in the wrist, a subtle shift of weight, a micro pause at the end of a phrase. These are not accidents. They are the invisible repairs that hold the illusion together. Elite pianists rely on a cascade of micro adjustments to keep the music alive. The brain is always running ahead, predicting the next move, sending commands before the last note has even faded. At speeds of up to 12 notes a second, with both hands weaving independent lines, the margin for error shrinks to less than 50 milliseconds. A single slip, a finger too tense, a muscle firing half a beat late, can throw the entire sequence out of sync. Studies of concert performances reveal a constant stream of real-time corrections. Skilled players never coast on autopilot. Instead, they anticipate instability, balancing on a knife's edge between control and collapse. From the audience, it looks like perfection. Inside the performer's mind, it is a storm of adjustments, corrections, and recoveries. This is the hidden choreography behind every so-called flawless concert. Mastery is defined not by the absence of error, but by the relentless struggle to keep chaos at bay. A concert grand pushes the body to its edge. In the fastest passages, pianists reach bursts of 25 to 30 notes per second, each note just 33 milliseconds apart. At this speed, the smallest miscalculation can send everything off course. Both hands must operate as separate engines, their coordination locked within a margin thinner than a human hair. Biomechanical research shows a precise cascade. Shoulders anchor, elbows adjust, wrists flick, fingers strike. This entire sequence from trunk to fingertip unfolds in under 20 milliseconds. If any joint lags or overcompensates, the error grows, sometimes derailing the phrase. Even at the highest level, the margin for error is less than 10 milliseconds. Laboratory recordings reveal that as tempo increases and the interval between notes drops below 35 milliseconds, movement variability and timing jitter spike. The body's usual compensations, tiny shifts and force corrections, begin to break down. At the threshold, a single stiff finger can turn a seamless run into chaos. Each note becomes a test against physical limits. The mind of a concert pianist is a battlefield. While the hands execute rapid-fire runs and complex rhythms, the brain is working at full capacity, holding the shape of the music, planning each phrase, and tracking every micro-adjustment before it happens. This is not simple memory. It is a relentless juggling act, where working memory must keep entire passages, fingerings, and dynamic shifts in constant rotation. The pressure grows with every measure. Each new phrase adds to the mental stack, drawing on the brain's limited capacity to anticipate, recall, and adjust in real time. Studies show that as soon as a second task is introduced, like solving a mental puzzle while playing, error rates spike, timing becomes ragged, the once smooth flow of notes turns uneven, even for elite players. This is the dual task effect when working memory is split and the margin for error widens. Pianists fight this by chunking, the art of grouping notes and gestures into mental packets that fit within the brain's natural limits. It is a survival strategy, not a luxury. Lose the structure and the performance unravels. Even the world's best are just one distraction away from a silent collapse, not because they forget the notes, but because the mind's grip on the music slips for a fraction of a second. In that instant, mastery is revealed as a fragile alliance between memory, anticipation, and the sheer will to keep chaos out. His hands hover over the keys, poised for risk. In the opening bars, he bends the tempo, stretching phrases to the breaking point. Each surge of emotion is paid for in tension. His wrists flex, forearms brace, heart rate spikes. The music swells, and with it the danger of losing control. Critics call this playing fearless. In reality, every dramatic gesture is a negotiation with the body's limits. Lang Lang's artistry lives at the edge, where expressive freedom courts instability. Yuzha Wang approaches the piano like a surgeon. Her runs snap into place, each note a pinpoint in a field of velocity. In passages that demand 12 notes per second, her hands seem weightless, but the discipline is absolute. She drills finger placement until the margin for error vanishes. For Wang, precision is a shield. She minimizes risk, locking in timing windows below 30 milliseconds. The price is constant vigilance. Even a stray thought, a flash of distraction, or a sudden glare from the hall can widen the gap and threaten the chain of control. Her performances are battles to keep the unpredictable world outside the frame. Daniil Trifonov sits between these extremes. His playing balances lyricism and power, shifting strategies as the music demands. In Chopin, he floats through phrases, adjusting chunk boundaries on the fly to lighten the memory load. When the score turns turbulent, he tightens his grip, recalibrating for stability. Trifonov's secret is adaptability. He senses when to risk a surge of emotion and when to retreat into precision. The result is a dynamic equilibrium, a constant invisible recalculation that lets him survive on the narrow ridge between collapse and brilliance. For each of these artists, mastery is not a fixed state. It is a living process, shaped by the trade-off between risk and control. Every concert is a test of how far they can push their bodies and minds before the safety margins vanish. Imagine a map with two axes, risk and control. Every elite pianist, whether driven by emotion or precision, must navigate this invisible chart every time they play. The vertical line marks control, the ability to keep every note inside that razor-thin window of timing, force, and memory. The horizontal line marks risk, the willingness to stretch, to bend, to let emotion surge even when it pushes the body to the edge. At one corner, in the high-control, low-risk quadrant, you find the strategist, the player who drills passages until every note is locked, rehearses fingerings in slow motion, and builds a firewall against error. Their practice is methodical, breaking down sections into tiny units, repeating them until the margin for error shrinks below 10 milliseconds. Here, the music is safe, but the danger is sterility, a loss of spontaneity that can drain the performance of life. At the opposite extreme sits the risk-taker, living in the high-risk, low-control quadrant. This is the artist who chases expression, bending tempo, daring the hands to keep up with the heart. The cost is volatility. As risk increases, so does the chance that micro-tension will overwhelm the body's corrections and the performance will slip. In the middle, a narrow corridor opens, the zone where mastery lives. Here, the pianist balances rehearsal strategies, chunking passages to lighten memory load, using slow practice to build control, then reintroducing risk in full-speed runs. Pedagogues call this the trade-off zone, where each artist decides how much instability they can tolerate before control breaks down. Every rehearsal is an experiment in shifting along this map, searching for the sweet spot where freedom and stability coexist. The map is not fixed. Under pressure, the axes tilt. What feels safe in the practice room can become dangerous on stage. This is why even the world's best must constantly recalibrate, adjusting their strategies as the limits of body and mind reveal themselves in real time. The limits are written in numbers, not just in stories. At the top, the margin for error is measured in milliseconds. Every rapid-fire passage is a test. If the timing between notes drifts beyond 50 milliseconds, the illusion of flow breaks. The brain must lead the hands by 80 to 120 milliseconds, firing neural commands before the keys are even touched. This is not anticipation, it's survival. Muscles cannot sustain peak effort forever. When the upper trapezius or forearm flexors reach 30% of maximum voluntary contraction, precision falters. Laboratory tests show elite pianists hit a fatigue wall after just 62 seconds of relentless, high-speed playing. Even a brief 30-second pause only partly restores control, residual tension lingers, raising the risk of error. Under stress, heart rate and skin conductance spike, signaling the body's final warning. These are hard boundaries, measurable, inescapable, and the reason why mastery always walks the edge of collapse. Mastery on the piano forms a hidden hierarchy. For beginners, the battle is with the notes themselves, finding the right key, keeping tempo, holding the shape of a simple melody. As skill grows, the struggle shifts. Advanced players chase speed, clarity, and the ability to weave two hands together at impossible tempos. But at the summit, the challenge transforms again. For the elite, it is no longer about notes or even speed. The real test is control, holding the line when every nerve, muscle, and memory is stretched to breaking. In this arena, mastery means surviving at the edge, where the risk of collapse is always present. The world's best do not conquer the piano, they manage its chaos moment by moment. The final truth is stark. Mastery is not the absence of failure, but the ability to maintain control when everything inside and outside the performer threatens to break it. In the glare of the spotlight, mastery means surrendering to the fight with your own limits. Milliseconds, muscle fatigue, memory overload, all balanced on a knife edge. Perfection is not possible. Control is momentary. The line between genius and collapse remains as thin as a single missed note.